Lynn. How are
Hello.
ya?
I'm good. Figured out how to work this thing now, I think.
Yes. Welcome to the after
Thank
show.
you. Thank you. Is this a new
You,
thing?
it is, it's kind of new. Yeah. It's how
Cool.
we're doing, it's how we do TV now in the age of
Yeah.
quarantine and
Yeah.
a shelter from home. So
hmm
shelter in place where and this is a pretty big time change too, because you are not on the West Coast like I am.
No, I'm in Tokyo. So
I'm
I'm
so jealous, by the way. I love that city.
really, yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, yes, except it's not really like probably Tokyo as you know it right now. Everything's closed and, same as over there, I'm sure. But yeah, huge time difference. I think I'm like, what, 16 hours ahead of you or something?
It's morning
Strange
where
like
you
that.
are, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you for rolling out of bed and
No, no, of
joining
course,
us. This
of
is
course.
great. Like I had mentioned to everybody, so this is the after show. So we will, we'll talk about spoilers. We're going to talk
hmm
about the finale of Devs,
Great.
which, by the way, I had so much fun watching this. I had so much fun watching you.
Ah, thank you.
Let's talk about the episode, the last episode, episode 8.
hmm
Okay, so what's Lily doing right now in the
Gosh.
machine, or I don't know, is that what we want to call it? Is it the machine? Is it the afterlife?
What you mean? What's she doing at by the end of the
Yeah,
show?
yeah. Like what is she? Yeah, what is she
How does
doing?
she?
Yeah.
How does she end up? Well, what you mean? Is it, so she? Yeah. So at the end of the show, she is in the simulation. She's in the machine. She's in Deus.
Right.
And as the machine works on the principle of the many worlds theory, so there's many worlds within this machine, and the world that we see her in is the world in which she makes the choice, or not the choice, depending on how you see it, to go and see Jamie, and
Yeah.
she makes the choice that the what she has learned through the course of the series is that Jamie is the person that she loves and the person she wants to be with. So she makes the choice to go and be with him despite everything. But she is living as when her and Forrest meet in the meadow. She is living with the knowledge that she is in the machine. So I can imagine that must be a very difficult thing to grapple with.
Yes, and I love that it ended kind of where we started, in some ways, but she is
Mm.
a totally different person
Mhm.
in this part, and I do really like that. I really liked the Jamie Lily relationship. I don't know if you always were kind of rooting for them, and this was like a bit of a happy ending, or how did you conceive of their relationship?
Totally it was. I felt like exactly. I found it very touching. I found the ending very touching. I remember when I read it, I found it very touching, and I remember when we filmed the scene of the two of us we actually filmed it in London at Liverpool Street Station, but the scene at his office, outside his office, and we just hug. I remember feeling very moved by it, because I think aside from all the kind of philosophical and scientific and religious ideas that are, beautifully woven into the story, at its core, it's a very human story, and for Lily, the journey for me was about what love meant to her, and she goes on this journey of discovering who she really loves, and in discovering who she loves, she also goes through true loss, and And I think something we talked about a lot during filming with Alex Garland and also with Jinha, who played Jamie, and Carl Glusman, who played Sergei, was this kind of age of your late 20s where, you know, people often say when you're 18 you become an adult, but the truth really is like we're not adults when we're 18. We're far from it. But, you know, towards the end of your 20s, I don't know, I can only speak for myself, but make a lot of mistakes in your 20s, do a lot of stuff, and then you start to kind of like shed those things, and, you know, your perspective about love and the kind of person who you want to be with changes. And I think that on top of all the other stuff that's going on in the story, that's what's going on for Lily. And she knows that Jamie is the man that she loves, and so I felt like it was the perfect, simple ending for her journey.
Yeah. I really loved that too. And also just love seeing some Asian people have like a romantic story.
I know.
And you don't I mean, that's not, it wasn't the first thing that I paid attention to, but I mean, it is something, you know, as a person of Asian descent, you're just like, wow, when you see that, it's totally so rare. Like, you don't see it that often.
Yeah, totally. Because, I mean, when it does happen, it's often in a story which is kind of defined by Asian characteristics, whatever they may be. But and so usually, often, as we know, if there's someone who is a person of color, their romantic relationship on screen will often be with someone who is not. So yeah, it was very satisfying, and also like very true to a lot of people I know and a lot of relationships I know. So it was cool. I'm glad you appreciated it.
Absolutely. You got to reunite with Alex Garland, like you said. And so how did this experience working with well, first of all, how was this show pitched to you? How was this project pitched to you?
Well, I remember when he was writing it, and he told me he was writing something which had to do with the nature of free will versus determinism. And we had a conversation about it, but then I didn't know much about it until it was casting time. And then, you know, me and Alex had conversations in the past about Asian leads or, you know, parts for Asian actors in Hollywood and things like that.
Oh, really?
And so, yeah, I was very excited to hear that he had written it for an Asian woman. But, you know, by no means did it mean it was like he pitched me the part, would you like to do it? It was very much, you know, a very kind of grueling audition process, I think, because also at that time, not really any work I had done had come out. So, you know, I had a lot to prove as well. So, at that time, I think I'd read 2 episodes and just thought it was actually the best thing that I'd ever read. And, you know, I kind of felt, often I feel like with auditions, one feels like I've got nothing to lose. The part isn't mine yet. So, you know, it's fine, whatever happens. But because I had worked with him twice already and all of his crew and the producers and you know, I know what that set is like. I kind of felt like I did feel attached to it. I did feel like I wanted to do it so much. So, you know, that it kind of felt more loaded, like there was more pressure in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is wonderful being able to kind of like continue a working relationship with, you know, like I said, with the crew as well, with Rob Hardy, the DOP, Andrew Whitehurst, who does the visual effects, the Jeff and Ben who do the score, you know, even the Charlie who does my makeup, she did the last 2 times. So it's a kind of like lovely feeling of, you know, people often say sets are like families, and they're kind of not, but you know, if you work together over and over again, you definitely build up a sense of camaraderie and trust, and that's, you know, that's what was already there with Alex. And I'll say also, even though the size of the part was so much different than anything I'd done before, and with him, he treats everyone as such equals, you know, so it's not like I felt particularly different on this one than I did on, say, Ex Machina. So right. It was, you know, it's always a kind of level playing field.
Just a wildly different part.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
I think Lily and Forrest are such great adversaries, and the tension that you and Nick Offerman were able to build was palpable. What was it like for the two of you, though, to interact on set? Like, did you stay away from him? Did you, you know, what were your interactions?
I mean, it's very hard to stay away from Nick Offerman because he's like the most lovely person. You want to, you know, be around him at all times. So no, I definitely didn't stay away from him. But it was interesting that last, you know, episode 8, that whole bit in the cube and in the lift and all of that was a very strange time, because we filmed it right at the end, as we should do, because, you know, it's the kind of climax of it all. And we filmed it, so it's basically me, Nick, Alison and Stephen doing this kind of like very strange sequence over and over again, and you know, there's the two versions of it,
right? And
you know, it could be that we just film one version of it and Alex cuts around it and makes it look different or whatever, but that was not a consideration for Alex. You know, we were going to do two versions and have them ever so slightly different, and so we were doing that sequence for a good few days, and I think we did the crash in the lift like 80 something times, and so wow. we got into this very strange headspace where, you know, I'm saying these words, I don't know what I am anymore, I can't remember them, I don't know, you know, something that makes no choices, and you know, I started to feel like that, and I think we just kind of like were really able to inhabit this weird place, and I think it probably also helped as well, because up until episode 8, Lily and Forrest, they don't actually interact that much, you know, so I felt like a lot of the stuff that happened between Nick and I on the set in the Red Room and stuff just kind of like, you know, as you hope, it would just happen there, and it wasn't, you know, nothing was planned as such. We didn't know really. I think we'd filmed like a couple of scenes together over the preceding 6 months. So
it's an intense finale, that scene specifically. I think one of the things that really struck me, though, from the outset of the show was that creepy Amaya statue.
Yeah.
Which I know is all
creepy,
visual effects. I know that. But did you all get to see it, you know, any kind of a rendering of it, or did you have any idea what it would look like or how it would present on the show? And what was your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, we saw like mock-ups on, you know, on a piece of paper, but it had no idea like how huge it would be, and it just seemed like you know, the thing is all of these things like the Amaya statue and the Dev's cube and the gold pulsating walls, they're all things that come from Alex's imagination, and he says these things and you think, okay, cool, that sounds really cool, but I've got no idea what that's going to look like. But then
What's a giant toddler going to look like
yeah,
in the middle
but
of
then
a forest?
it always like it always kind of just appears, and you think, wow, they really did it. But to be honest, I haven't actually. Oh no, I have seen the final version
You haven't?
of
Oh,
this
you have?
statue.
Oh,
Okay. I've seen a couple of episodes, but since I've been in Japan, I haven't been able to see anything. So I have to catch up.
You have to
If
catch
I
up
dare.
you have to catch up on your own show.
Yeah.
Do you like watching your own
No, I
stuff? You
can't. I can't
don't.
stand it. I mean,
Why?
I think most actors can't. I mean, I don't know, but it's very difficult to watch yourself and hear your voice and all. Anyway.
Well, I hate to spoil it for you, but you're pretty great in it. Your American accent
Thank you.
is top notch. So
Oh,
congrats.
that's very nice.
Commend
Thank
you on that. The
Thank you.
show, because it is so, I think, philosophically heavy, and yeah, there's the science and the theory and, multiverse theory, but I think deep down it makes you consider free will versus determinism, makes you consider what you value, or if you made different choices, where your life would be now. Especially as a lot of us are self-isolating, we're thinking a lot. So,
Yeah.
but what did any of those questions come up for you as you were working on the show?
Yes. Trying to think. I think one of the things I really was trying to understand was what my own true feelings were about the free will versus determinism argument, because it wasn't the first time I'd thought about it or had discussions about it, but really kind of trying to understand what it meant for me. And I think I'd always kind of felt in a glancing way that I believed in determinism because I could just see in my own life experience and in the kind of holistic world view that things always seemed to happen because of an event prior, however macroscopic or microscopic that was. But it was more like an internal feeling. And I think doing something like Devs and working with someone like Alex who kind of exercises these big ideas through characters and through stories really gives you the chance to think about them. And it really kind of confirmed my personal beliefs that we don't have free will. And I don't mean that we don't have free will, but I don't mean that in a kind of in a restrictive, negative way. In a way, from my point of view, I find the idea quite freeing, because it's every decision that you make is the right decision because it's out of your control on a very kind of deep level. So it makes me sometimes feel more kind of relaxed about things.
Yeah. You took a big risk you were actually a dancer by training,
yes,
correct?
Yes.
And then you went into acting, but I think we sometimes kind of see some of that dancer elegance or that influence in some of your work. Do you think that dance has?
Yes.
How has dance influenced your acting?
Well, I definitely see it when I walk, because I walk like a duck. And there it is. On the screen, great. No, I think it's true, and I think I can't, I spent so much of my life dancing that it'd be almost impossible for it not to be there in some way. And I think for a long time I tried to kind of push it away, but now I try and use it because it's just so deeply ingrained in who I am, I think. But yeah, I think it helps me approach a character's physicality and, you know, think about how they use their body and how they hold their head and, you know, what their kind of inner rhythm is, which are things that you often are thinking about when you're a dancer. So I think I use that, but a lot of the stuff I try and drop, like my duck walking. But I saw Lily doing some duck walking. And
some duck walking.
great. There she is.
What was the hardest scene for you to do in this show?
Oh, gosh, that's a good question. Oh my God, I don't know. There's so many hard ones for different reasons. It is difficult for me to answer. I mean, finding Sergei's body was one of the hard ones because it was, you know, so emotional, and it was something that I had to hold on to while they changed the camera angle, which included a crane move. So it took a long time I think it took like an hour or more to move the camera, and holding on to that emotion and then delivering it again was I remember very hard. But I think, you know, that the hardest ones were the long dialogue ones with the Alison Pill, amazing Alison Pill, and Nick in episode 8, and some of the ones with Jin Ha. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, there's just a lot of the thing about that. I think actually a lot of them the hard ones were the ones that me and Jin had to do, because we were so we had to be so careful about how we measured their relationship and how it developed in the right way, and make their dynamic feel like organic and believable, basically. And it was a difficult thing to measure because it was all in light of Lily having just lost Sergei, and you know, then on top of that I'm trying to do an American accent, and it's you know, it's like lots of things. But I think those were probably maybe the hardest. So I don't know, lots of different challenging things.
I think of this scene when you climb out onto the ledge, and you're having the breakdown, and
that's true. I forgot
the whole
that was a really
the ugly cry, the whole thing. That was intense.
I forgot about that one. That was a hard one. I'm not very good with heights either, even though we had this amazing kind of like, actually I won't say, but it's quite scary out there.
It felt real. The anxiety of that scene felt real. Did this show change how you view tech companies? Because I think that's kind of a recurring theme in a lot of Alex's work, and obviously, like we're connecting over the internet, like we're on Instagram,
right? Yes, I don't know if it changed. I think it probably confirmed some feelings I had, or kind of like brought them to the surface. I felt like kind of uneasy about a lot of things to do with the tech industry for a long time, but I never really understood it, to be honest, because I'm not tech savvy. I mean, it took me ages to try and work out how to do this. So it's just like a feeling I've had for a long time. But yeah, I remember when I read the script, I thought, and you know, it's something you hope for when you're an actor, is like you do something that you want to say something about. Always feels like really kind of satisfying and cathartic in a way. And I remember reading the script and thinking, yes, I want to, you know, talk about these tech leaders who are basically controlling the way our societies run now, because our governments don't have the structure to support how fast the industry is growing. And it felt like an amazing opportunity to do that. And then I guess in doing that, you know, those kind of like feelings that I have or had were brought to the surface and also challenged, because, you know, in doing the show and in researching for the show, for example, a few of us went to Google and we met some people who worked in Google Quantum Computing Lab in Santa Barbara and Google X, and partly what you're doing is meeting these extremely intelligent, interesting, progressive people who are trying to do kind of amazing things, and some of them, you know, good things, positive things for humankind and the planet. And so yeah, I guess it kind of brings my own disquiet to the surface and also challenged it.
Right. I have a fun question for you. Do you still know that epic dance from Ex Machina?
Oh yeah,
You do.
Yeah. It's like one of those weird things.
It's still in your body.
Yeah, I still know it. I absolutely, yeah. I won't do it now, but
No.
I'm doing it by yet.
But do you think Oscar Isaac still knows it though?
I bet he does. He was really good at it. I was kind of like, wow, you know.
It's iconic. I think it's iconic personally. I think it's one of those great scenes. And Lily, such a departure from, you know, your character that we saw in Crazy Rich Asians.
Yes.
Like you could not get more different.
Universes apart.
Yes, absolutely. Very different wardrobe, very different hair.
Yes.
The whole thing.
The whole thing.
Have you heard anything about a sequel, whether Amarantha would show up in a sequel?
I mean, there's been, you know, little chatter here and there within the cast, and I think people want to do it, but I don't. Your guess is as good as mine. I hope so. But,
would you want to be a part of it if it were to?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. You know, it was such a wonderful experience. I mean, the way it was received was obviously really special, but the actual making of it was such a wonderful experience of my life that I'll always take with me. And to be with those people again would be amazing. But, you know, Nora and Gemma and Constance and Henry and all of them are off doing wonderful things. So who knows?
Yeah. And I had heard that you were actually initially hesitant to join that project. To join the cast of Crazy Rich Asians. Is that?
Sorry, I lost you.
No, that's okay. I had heard that you were hesitant to join to sign on to that project. Yeah. Hello? You still there?
Hi, sorry, yeah,
Hi,
I
no,
lost
that's
you.
okay.
Yeah.
I had heard that you were initially hesitant to join that project, to join Crazy Rich Asians.
I was not with any kind of. I had no kind of. I wasn't well informed when when that was the case. I heard the title. I heard they were auditioning this film called Crazy Rich Asians, and I thought, what's this about? It was more like I was more kind of suspicious that that, you know, I didn't know the kind of satirical tone behind it, but as soon as I read it, I thought, wow, this is brilliant, and it's going to be really fun, and I really wanted to be part of it. So that changed pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And that sequin jumpsuit was pretty.
Oh my God, I know. It was so great, wasn't it? Couldn't
Yeah.
sit down though. Couldn't sit down. Boiling hot.
I'd imagine, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Looked better than it felt, put it that way.
Before I let you go on with your day, there's a couple questions that we've been asking everybody as we all self-isolate. And the first one is, what are you binging right now?
Do you know what? This is going to sound so weird. I haven't watched any TV for the past 3 months.
Wow.
Except, yeah, I know it sounds weird, but I weirdly haven't watched anything. But last night I started watching this Korean series, Crash Landing on You.
Oh, yes.
And
I haven't watched it, but I've heard a lot about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
My brother loved it, so it didn't really sound like I was like, I'm not sure that's my thing, but I'll give it a go, and it was pretty fun. So I guess I'm going to be binging that.
And what's the number one thing you're looking forward to when this is all over?
I would like to be back on a set. I'm looking forward to that. It's been a long time. Yeah.
It has. I imagine that your work has been disrupted because of this.
No, I wasn't actually working on something at the time. So yeah, been quite a while.
And for you as an actor, now that you've been a lead in a series, you have a few films under your belt as well. Do you feel as an actor of color, as an actor of Asian descent, that Hollywood's kind of finally ready to tell nuanced stories, to make nuanced roles available to actors like yourself?
Yeah, I have to say I do. I think that these past few years has been kind of just so completely different to my experience in the industry before, and I hope it's something that lasts. But I do. It seems that people are very open to telling different stories, and people are very open to watching them as well. It's really good. I'm really pleased.
Wonderful. Well, can't wait to see more. Is there a season 2 in development? Have you heard anything?
There's not a season 2, but I think this had been announced in the press that Alex wanted to work with the same cast on another series of something completely different. So I guess that will be the season 2.
Great.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Well, let us know when that happens.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Audrey.
Sonoya, this was really, really lovely. I'm glad
Yeah,
that we got
lovely
to catch
chat
up.
to you.
From an ocean or two
I
away
know.
from
I
each
know.
other. But the beauty of
Crazy.
technology. This is one of the net
exactly.
positives of technology.
That's true.
Right
exactly.
Here.
Totally. That's right.
All right. Well, stay safe and healthy.
Yeah, you
Thanks
too.
for being on the after show.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.